Hello, welcome to this channel. My name is Enoch. Today we will continue in our series on Linux. We will be looking at user account management. We'll be looking at how to create how to create a group, how to add a user to a group, and so on and so forth. So users and group is using the system to give permission or access to files and resources in the system. And every file belongs to a user and every user belongs to a group. Let's see an example of that in the system. We have a shell here. This is an Ubuntu machine. This is an Ubuntu machine, and if you run sudo cat/etc/os-release, you will see this is an Ubuntu machine. It's version 14.04.6. If you run print working directory pwd, you see we are in the home directory of the Vagrant user. If you run who am I'm Vagrant. Okay, let's clear our screen, and let's look at what file do I have here. Let's run ls-l. You see this file has a owner. This is the owner or the user of the file, and this is the group. Told you this first character D here is a file type, and the 9 next character signifies the permission, and these two signifies the hard link. Every directory we have at least two, one to itself and one to the parent directory. So this is 2, and you have this Vagrant here is the owner or the user. This Vagrant here is the group. This is the size, and this is the date and time it was created, and this is the name of the file. This is the file name. All right. So every file belongs to a user, and every user belongs to a group. Okay. So if you also run ls, ls-l / you will see the owner of this file is the root. The group is also the root. Look at this one. The owner of this file is Vagrant. The group is Vagrant. All right, let's note that, and let's move on. Okay. Every user has a unique ID. Every user has a unique user ID, and UID and username are stored in etc/password. Let's look at that. Let's look at that particular file. Let's become. We don't need to become a root user to do this /etc/passwd. Okay, now every user in the system will be in this file, separated, each colon separated by each field is separated by colon. And let's copy it, and let's try and understand what each field means. Let's copy this, and let's use a notepad to just look at it. All right. So this root that you are looking at, this first field is the username. That's the name. That's the username, and this second field. Is the link to the shadow file, or just the placeholder for the password file. The shadow file, it contains the encrypted password, and this X is just a placeholder for the password. All right. So this first 0 that we are looking at. This first 0 that we are looking at is the user ID. The second 0 that you are looking at there is the group ID. The root that you are looking at there is just a comment. And the /root that you are looking at there is the home directory. And this /bin/bash means this is the shell. This is the shell. So that means the default shell of this user is /bin/bash. All right, you will see some other ones that some other users in the system cannot log in. You see /sbin/no login, so they don't have a default shell. You see some false, false. So all these no login cannot log in. They cannot log in. All right. So that's that about this file. The first one there, root. The first field there is the username. The X is the placeholder for the shadow file, which is the password file. The first 0 there is the username, the user ID, and the second 0 is the group ID. This is just a comment. This is the home directory, and this is the shell. Okay, so so let's go back to our slide. And so UID and username are stored in etc. Password. We have just seen that. Users cannot access each other's file without permission. Yeah, that is correct. User cannot access other people's file without necessary permission. If we look at the root user, look at ls-l/root. You see, you cannot permission denied. We are not allowed to look at the content of this particular directory. So that's that. Permission is necessary to be able to access files and directory. So that's just what I want us to note. Let's move on. There are 3 types of user in the system. We have the root user. The root user has their user ID as 0. We have the group ID. They have the group ID of the root user also as 0. We have the home directory of the root user /root, and we have the shell of the root directory as /bin/bash. And there are regular user too in the system, which is a user like Vagrant, or if we create a new user. Regular user, we have their user ID between 1000 and 6000. The group ID for regular user will also be between 1000 and 6000. Their home directory of a regular user, the home directory of a regular user will be /home/username. So that for Vagrant, like this, will be /home/Vagrant. If I create a user, it will be /home/ the username that I create. And the shell of a regular user is also /bin/bash, which means their default shell is bash. They can log in. And there are service users too in the system. There are services that are running in the background, and their user IDs are usually between 1000 and 999. Their group ID is usually between 1 and 999, and their shell usually is no login. You see no login, or you see false or something. And if you check our password again, you will see them. They are there. You can see this root user can log in /bin/bash. You will see there is a Vagrant user there. There is a Vagrant user there that also has /bin/bash. If we run it, and we'll pipe it with grep for /bin/bash, you see that the root user can log in as a shell. The Vagrant user has a shell. The Ubuntu user too has a shell. All other ones are system files, are services that are probably running in the background. So that's that about this particular file. Let's move on. And there are files that I want us to pay attention to. etc password, that's the file we have just seen now, which hold users info. So if I create a new user now, you will see the user will be added to that particular file. If I say let's check the file again, cart/etc/passwd, and you will see, okay, we have all these users. Let's clear our screen and let's create a user. You can use user add to create a user, and you can add your -m. M is to create the home directory of this particular user. Let's use Jenkins, So we'll create a Jenkins user. Let's create another user again. Let's say Ansible, and let's create another one again. Let's say Terraform. Okay. Now if we check this file again, you see that the Terraform user has now been added to this file. You see their home directory is there, Ansible user 2 is there, Jenkins user 2 is there. All right, so that's just what I want you to note. And every user that we create, we have their primary group as their username. If you check the group file, if you check the group etc/group as the group info, let's check that. You will see that you will see that all the users that we have just created now, we have a group inside. You can see Terraform group, Ansible group, Jenkins group. Let me just explain what this. The first field there is the group name. The second field is just the placeholder for the shadow file, that's the password, and this is the group number, group ID. So I can easily edit it and add a user to a particular group. Let's move on. So etc password for the user, all the users in the system will be there. etc group will hold all the groups in the system. etc shadow, we have the password for each user. I've not created a password for all those users. I can create password for Jenkins like this, just PASSWD and the user, and press enter, and you can set your password. You can set your password like that. I've set password for Jenkins. I can set password too for Terraform and Ansible. I can set password for them. All right, so they have been Ansible is left, so let me just do it. Ansible all right, so I've set password for the 3 users I've just created, and that password will be saved in /etc/the shadow file. The shadow file. Let's see that file /etc/shadow shadow, and you can see it's an encrypted file. So let's just get out of it. All right, so now I can change. I can add user to a particular group. See command user add to add users. We have been seeing that -m to create the home directory. If you want to see all the home directory of the user that we have created, you can just run ls/home to see them. You see Ansible is there, Jenkins is there, Terraform is there. These are their home directory. So they can easily just I can easily log into them. I can say su space Jenkins, and it will, and I'm inside. I've become the Jenkins user. You can see. So that's that. It's not asking for password because it's the root user. If it's not the root user and I want to change to another user, it will ask for password. Let's say su/hyphen. Let's say Ansible. If I run this, it will ask for password. You can see it will ask for password. The Ansible login. All right, so that's that. Let me log out of them. Become the root user. Clear your screen. All right, now let's assume. Let me ID Jenkins. Let's ID Jenkins. You can see Jenkins only belong to Jenkins group. Let's ID Ansible too. Let's ID Ansible. Ansible belong to Ansible group. Let's ID Terraform. Terraform belongs to Terraform group. But let's assume, let's create a group. Let's create a group and let's call it group add DevOps. Group add DevOps. All right. If you look at cart /etc/group, you will see that this DevOps group that we just created has been added to it. And now we want to add, let's add all the 3 users that we just created, Jenkins, Ansible, and Terraform. Let's add them to the DevOps group. So let's clear our screen. Earlier we look at we ID Terraform is only in Terraform group. We ID Ansible is only in Ansible group. We also ID Jenkins, which is only in Jenkins group. Now let's use a user mod to add them to another group. So user mod -a is to append, capital G is a supplementary group list, and space, what is the group that we want to add it to? We want to add it to DevOps. And what is the user that we want to add? Jenkins. Now if I run it like this, it will add Jenkins to the DevOps group, but Jenkins will still belong to the primary group of Jenkins. So but if I change this capital G and A to just G, it will change the primary group of Jenkins. It will change the primary group, but just use A to append and G to create to make it a supplementary list, and just run it like this, and this will add Jenkins. If you run ID Jenkins again, now you will see that Jenkins is now added to the DevOps group. If you run your cart Etsy group, you will see that Jenkins is now part of the DevOps group. Now let's clear our screen, and let's use VIM to add others to that group. VIM /Etsy/group. Let's use VIM to also add the remaining, and let's search for DevOps to take. Okay, now let's edit that line. Just put your comma and put your Ansible to add Ansible to DevOps group. Put your comma, add Terraform to that group, and those will be added like that. Let's save, WQ, and save. If you run your cart for the group now, you will see that the DevOps, the Ansible and Terraform has been added to DevOps group. Let's clear our screen. If you ID them again, you will see that ID Ansible. You will see that Ansible is now added to DevOps group. If you check for Terraform 2, you will see that Terraform 2 has been added to DevOps group. So that's that. You can easily modify, you can easily create users and add them to any group you want to add them to. So there are some commands that I want you to also pay attention to that are very useful, who will display information about users who are currently logged into the system. Let's look at that. Who Vagrant is logging into the system. What else? ID, we have been using ID, which shows the user ID, the group ID, and the group that the user belongs to. W will just display user that is presently logging into the system. If you use W to just tell you that you are presently a Vagrant, and if you use last, would display a list of last login users, including the time they log in. Last, will display all the users that are logging last into the system and the time they log in. So that's that. There are two or one more command that I want to show us. LSOF display the list of open file. Display the list of open file. LSOF display the list of open file. So if I want to see all the file that a particular user has presently open, I can just run LSOF and -u with the username of that particular user, and it will show me all the file that this present user as presently open, So if I want to, let's say I want to see what Jenkins user has opened, I can just use Jenkins. Jenkins has not opened anything, so that's that. So let's delete, let's do some cleanup. Let's delete the group. Let's delete the users. -R. -R is to delete the home directory. So Jenkins, remove Jenkins. Ansible, remove Ansible and the home directory. Terraform, remove Terraform user and the home directory. If we want to remove the group, just run group del and give the group name, and it will remove the group. Let's clear the screen and let's check our files. /etc/PASSWD. You see all the users that we just created are gone because we have removed them. If you check the group file, you will see that too has been cleaned up. They are gone. Those groups are gone. So that's that for today. You can run your history to see the history of the commands, to see the commands that you have just run, and just master them, get familiar with them, so they can be handy anytime you need them. So in conclusion, we have seen all this command who, we have seen ID, we have seen W, we have seen last, we have seen list, open file. We have seen how to add users, how to remove user, how to add group, how to remove group, how to modify the group of a particular user. We have seen this password, this user file, which is with this user file, which is the /PASSWD. We have seen this group file, which has the group info of every user in the system. We also look at this shadow file, which contains the password, encrypted password. We talk about 3 users, which are root users, regular user, and services that are probably running in the background. And said every user belongs to a group, and every file belongs to a user, and so on and so forth. So just familiarize yourself with this, and it will be very handy whenever you use them, whenever you need them. And thank you for watching today. I will see you in the next video. Thank you.